Welcome to Throw Off the Lines, the podcast where we navigate life's changes, explore new horizons, and embrace the journey. I'm your host, Stephanie York, an executive coach with a passion for charting new courses on the water and in life. Ready for some total change? Let's dive in. Welcome back to another episode of Throw Off the Lines. Today we're going to talk about something that is very near and dear to my heart, sadly, and it's called SAD. It's Seasonal Affective Disorder, and it's a type of depression that occurs during specific seasons, and it's usually the fall or the winter. And I have a lot of experience with SAD because I grew up in a very northern climate, which was northern Ohio, in a town called Ashtabula, and it's right on Lake Erie, pretty close to Canada, and it's between Cleveland and Erie, Pennsylvania. And growing up there, I mean, we got gloom, and it would usually set in around October, and I wouldn't clear up until sometime in April. And so, I talked to a lot of my clients, and I have been noticing over the last decade, as I talk to people who live in climates where there are restricted hours during the winter months, they're a little bit more northern or a lot more northern, and understanding, what the difference is between SAD and then being clinically depressed. And, seasonal depressive disorder is something that can affect anybody. And it's often self-diagnosed. Mine was self-diagnosed. Even though I do have a family history of clinical depression, which I could go into on another more advanced podcast episode, but I would rather have somebody professional to talk to about those things. If you're feeling really depressed, if any of this stuff does hit home for you and you feel like it's beyond just a self-diagnosis, please go to your family physician. Go to mental health facilities. I'm not talking about isolation where you are feeling so depressed you can't do anything. I'm not talking about clinical depression. I'm not talking about suicidal ideation, any of those things. Those need a professional. And I'm going to include in the show notes some links to national, suicide prevention. I think that when people get that depressed and that far down, they really struggle to reach out. They feel a sense of worthlessness. And I'm saying you are worthy and you need to reach out and get some help. If you yourself can't contact one of the 800 numbers or the website or go to your doctor about it, talk to a friend or a family member and have them reach out on your behalf, because there's a lot of help out there right now. There's a lot of reasons to have anxiety, stress, and feel down about things, but you're not alone. There's more resources than there have ever been, and they are all there wanting to help you, and you're not alone. So please do embrace that. What I'm talking about on this particular podcast is something that I was able to manage. I'm going to talk about the ways that I managed it for myself personally and some of the ways that my clients are managing it as well. So, I've been heartbroken and I've had everything I have taken away from me. I've had money stolen. I've had my horses sold out from under me. I had my 65 Mustang totaled by a friend. I've had my home invaded by a malicious ex-boyfriend. I've been through domestic violence and so much loss. Those things are really, really sad things that I needed to get professional help to overcome. What I'm talking about on this, if you've had those kinds of things happen, please reach out to a professional. Speak to a friend about this. Get help. Those are real things, and that is real depression and feeling down. What I'm talking about is more of a relentless sadness that you don't have these big bad things happening, but you feel sad and you maybe don't feel like you should be sad, or that it's not a worthwhile sadness. And you're allowed to be sad. I mean, never have somebody tell you, oh, just cheer up. Oh, buck up. You don't have any reason to be sad. Sadness or feeling down can affect anybody. It doesn't mean that you have to have a lot of bad stuff happening in your life. And I talk about that on my purpose episodes. And I talk about that frequently. I was really, really down, and I had no reason to be down when all the boxes were checked. I was safe. I have a career. I have a degree. I have the ability to feed myself. I can go where I want, when I want. But I was feeling lost and clinically sad. So what I'm talking about is a sadness where I personally would in the wintertime know that I would drink to be happier, and I knew the drinking wasn't helping me. I'd eat a ton of sugar and run away from the sadness, but there it was when I woke up. I'd chase places to go and distractions and try to keep myself busy. And then it was always there because it was a seasonal thing. So it can be treated, and I'll talk a lot more about some of the triggering things to look out for. So seasonal affective disorder, it's a type of depression that occurs that can be because of where you're located. And I've also talked to people who are maybe not in a winter climate that are very affected by the season, because all of a sudden Christmas is over now and there's no real holidays and it's a new year and we've got taxes and the new year, the shift from an old year to a new year, it can really affect people even when they're not in a really gloomy, dark, cloudy environment like Northern Ohio. So, one of the things that I tell people to do is check out their mood. What is happening with your mood? And the best way to check in with yourself with these symptoms of seasonal affective disorder is get a journal. And I talk a lot about journaling, and I'm going to keep pushing that button because I find journaling, even if you're talking to a therapist, even if you have a psychologist or somebody that you're working with on depression, a journal is an incredible tool for self-therapy. It's an incredible tool to check progress. It's an incredible tool to check symptoms you may not even be aware of. And I've journaled my whole life on and off. And in seasonal affective disorder, if this is something you want to address right now, and it's a really good time to do it, we're just now in the fall of 2024. And what I want you to do in your journal is check on your mood. And it's a good idea to do it every day. I have people that I'm coaching that we have either an 8:30 to 9 o'clock check-in where they organize their day. We do journaling. We do 5 minutes of meditation if that's what we have agreed they want to do. And when you check in with your mood, some of my people are a little grumpy about journaling, and I say, don't do it if you're going to be grumpy about it. But if you want to check in with your mood, but you don't want to write a bunch of stuff. And honestly, when I was really kind of in the gloom and doom of the seasonal affective disorder, I couldn't be bothered to write a bunch of stuff down in a journal. So I even tell them, put a number in there for how you feel that day, because you will know what that number means. And that number, if it's a 3 out of 10, then you weren't feeling really great at the beginning of that day. And you might have put on some music after that. You might have had a great call with a family member or a client. You might have, a really good cup of coffee at 9 o'clock, whatever it is. But when your day started out, you were a 3. It's really good to know that that's how your day started. Tomorrow you might wake up and at 8:30 it might be a 5. I have some people who just put smiley faces, flat line faces, or sad faces. Whatever you need to do to capture what your mood is that day, because we want to see trends. We want to know, why am I feeling down? What's going on? Now, obviously, if you have big life changes and you have a lot of stuff that you're really struggling to get over, then obviously those things are going to impact you. Grief is going to impact you. Challenges at work, challenges with your kids. Having teenagers is really hard. Having kids who are sick and you're struggling with that. Having difficulty in your marriage. All those things are real. But I did just do a podcast on resilience. Go back to that and think about how resilience is recovering from tough times. I'm about to post a blog episode on adaptability, which is how to turn tough times into a good learning event. Resilience is recovering from tough times. Adaptability is how do I thrive in tough times. But when we are keeping track of our mood and we're keeping it in our journal, we're able to see, am I having a trend of sadness? And then what do I want to do about it? Next is sleep. Are you getting enough sleep? Are you getting too much sleep? That's something you can then, again, if you have an 8:30 appointment with yourself every day before your day starts, which my clients all do, then, how much sleep did I get last night? Did I get too much sleep? Did I struggle to get out of bed? Am I taking a lot of naps? Journal about it. Say, I woke up in the middle of the night and I wasn't getting any sleep, which happened to me a lot when I was dealing with SAD. And when you can keep track of the hours that you sleep, some people are using their smartwatch. I don't use any of these digital tools right now because I'm on a digital diet, which is another podcast. What is your energy? Are you feeling tired all the time? Do you have a decreased energy, a decreased enthusiasm? Which I know some people will say, hey, you're a little bit too much like a cheerleader. I was a cheerleader, and I think as a coach that I am definitely a cheerleader, but I'm talking about, are you not wanting to go to things that you usually go to? Are you pulling back from your social circles? Are you, throughout the day drinking a lot more coffee? I had a client I started working with that was doing around 7 cups of coffee a day, and we immediately cut out the afternoon coffee. And I might actually do an episode on caffeine addiction because I find myself, I love coffee, but when I have too much caffeine, it disrupts my body and just disrupts my mind and definitely my sleep. So if you have decreased energy, how are you getting through your day? How are you functioning? Also appetite. When some people are dealing with SAD, there's 2 completely different ways to deal with it. Are you eating more? And are you especially compensating with sweets and carbohydrates? I know I did. And I know that a lot of sugar and high carbohydrate food makes me physically ill. So if I'm drinking a lot of caffeine, I'm not sleeping in the middle of the night, I'm eating more sugar and carbohydrates, I'm not paying attention to a balanced diet, I tend to get sick easily. I don't feel good. I'm not enthusiastic about anything. I've now impacted my body because I'm trying to overcome this seasonal affective disorder. And then some people on the other side of that, they eat a lot less. And I know that our society so often focuses on people who are eating too much, or there's a talk about, weight, etc. I'm going to tell you, there's a lot of people who struggle not eating when they're not getting enough sleep, and maybe they're drinking a lot of coffee, and your concentration, if you're dealing with seasonal affective disorder, is way off. You have difficulty concentrating or making decisions because you have this mild form of depression, and it's constant, and it's gloom and doom. And, maybe you have thoughts about why bother? I shouldn't even be doing anything. And, a lot of what SAD did to me was, come October time, my hands would get cold, my feet would get cold. I was living up in northern Ohio on a farm, and I remember times we would get snowed into our house for a week at a time, and everything was difficult. You had to shovel out the car. We get lake effect snow, where Cleveland would get 2 inches, we get 2 feet, and that can stop you in your tracks. And then you've got to make extra effort to do everything. And I had to go out and take care of horses in the barn and get to school. And I got to say that it's a lot to overcome. So if you have 5 or 6 more months of this, and right after Christmas, it gets really bleak because that's when the heavy snow would hit back there and back east. And if you are in this environment where it's always a struggle, you've got to do more to get yourself fired up for the day. And it's harder to not eat these sugary, fatty, salty foods. So I want to talk about some of the things that I coach my clients on and some of the things that I myself did. Now, the big thing I did for my seasonal affective disorder is after college, I had moved to Cleveland, and I was really struggling to get on my feet. and get hired in a corporate position, and I was waiting tables, and I wasn't getting anywhere professionally. And I decided to one day just pack up my 65 Mustang. I put my cat Dusty in the car and I left for California, and I didn't look back. Now, I figured, you know what? They've got restaurants out there in California. Maybe it's a little more progressive and they don't want to think that I'm just going to be a receptionist because I look good in a skirt. And maybe I can get a corporate job out there because it's a little bit more advanced. And I said, I just know it's sunnier and it's warmer and I can't take this anymore. I left January 1st. And drove straight to California, where I had some friends I could crash with till I got on my feet. But if you can't uproot your entire life, and a lot of my clients are very happy where they live, they just didn't know what to do about some of this stuff. So what I say about seasonal affective disorder is that you need to start looking for symptoms early in fall and get out ahead of it. Because if you're really deep into it, then it's much harder to diagnose. It's harder to get out from under. And I don't want you to wait until the holidays are over and January's here, a new year starts, and you're starting to feel, you've been feeling down, but boy, it caught up to you because there's nothing in January and very little in February for celebration. So I'm posting this in late October for all my seasonal affective disorder folks. Everybody who is heading into the holidays, let's get set up so when January comes, you're in a position to continue to fight for your health. I love that January is a fitness-focused month, and I love New Year resolutions, but they're so frequently ineffective that I want to talk about how we can set ourselves up for success. And don't wait till January to do resolutions. Let's start doing a winter resolution right now, because the holidays are here and you're going to have all this positivity. Let's start doing some of these really good things for you now. So when January comes along, you have fitness goals in mind, and we're not having to launch a brand new campaign for you and your body and your mental health. This is a year-round, you're worth it, you're important kind of effort. So one of the number one things I have my people do for seasonal affective disorder is getting a light box. Obviously, they say spend time outside, which is great. Yes, absolutely spend time outside. But I'm going to tell you, in January, when there is a blizzard in Ohio and it's overcast, I'm not going outside. And I was so cold all the time, and I had to be outside with horses. I got a lot of time outside. Even in overcast days, if you have a walking routine that you've been doing all summer, and then probably not when it was super hot, but in the fall is a great time. Cover up and get out and do a brisk walk. Walking is so good for so much. It's good for your left and right brain balance. It's really good for your metabolism. It's really good for the functionality of your body. Your skeleton works better. Your muscles work better. Keep getting out and doing walks. Really important. But light therapy is incredibly important. And I had my clients I have for the last 10 years been prescribing them, if you can call that what your coach does, telling them go get a light box or a sunlight-mimicking lamp. And they're on Amazon. They're available for, I think I saw one for $20. And if you know somebody who suffers from seasonal affective disorder, we probably have elderly people in our lives who are maybe not internet savvy, and we've got Christmas coming up. This is an amazing thing to purchase for our loved ones as well. And some of the lamps have long legs, like a tripod leg, and you can put them over top of a chair. And if you've got somebody who's in a recliner and isn't super mobile, they can just have within reach the little light switch for that light, and they could sit in that light for an hour while they're watching TV. I don't recommend that you do it around dinner time, but for lunch or for breakfast, if you're up at 8:30 and you're doing your journal and you're trying to track your mood and you're trying to track, how much sugar am I eating? 'Cause that's killing my energy levels. And am I sleeping a lot? And you're kind of processing what you're thinking. Get that light bulb therapy on. Get your cup of Java, look out the window at the snow or the bluster or whatever, and love your seasons, but get some light therapy. It doesn't take much. Another thing that is huge, and I'm going to do a whole podcast on my workout routine, just sharing what I do to keep my body fit and healthy, is getting 30 minutes of exercise 3 times a week. What I try to do is get an hour of exercise 5 days a week at a minimum. And exercise can be all kinds of things. Get up, walk around your house. Get up, go for a walk outside. I do talk to people who reach out to me in my life that are suffering from some very debilitating diseases and injuries. And they're like, what can I do? We put together a little routine. You can get little 3 or 4 pound or 2 pound even hand weights. And, standing up, if you have an injury that doesn't allow you to walk or bend your knees, standing up and holding weights up over your head, all of that works. All of that adds up. I can even do a video of some of the arm weight exercises that I do, because as we age, we lose a lot of upper body strength, especially women. If you can do lifting exercises, again, I'll do that in another podcast. Go for a walk around your house. Go for a walk around the block. Go for a 5-minute walk out to the road, down the road, and back. If it's cold out, it'll be invigorating. If it's dangerous because there's ice, don't go do that. But get up and move. There's so much information on YouTube. I have a favorite couple of people I do yoga with. I'm doing exercises to increase my muscle mass in my glutes and my thigh muscles, because I had a chiropractor tell me that I need more muscles in that area, because I trained as a ballerina when I was younger and I kind of tucked my tail, and I need to get my core strength up in my hips and my glutes and my thighs. Whatever it is that you've got to do, there is absolutely exercise videos on YouTube. Also, nutrition. You got to make sure, if you're suffering from any kind of depressive disorder, nutrition is incredibly, incredibly important. And now you can take vitamins and minerals through a supplement 100%. There's a lot of, protein drinks that have a lot of supplemental vitamins and nutrition in it as well. And getting enough protein in your diet is really, really, really important. But if you're sitting around eating a bag of potato chips, that's not going to help you. I love potato chips, don't get me wrong, but I limit myself to a handful of them and then I put it away. And when I eat potato chips, I know this sounds like a lot of willpower stuff, but I will get out carrots and celery sticks and broccoli, and I have the potato chips, but I try to eat these crunchy vegetables as well. I also go through periods of time where my body doesn't like raw vegetables. And so I will have a big bowl of soup, and then I'm allowed to have chips with it, because I put something nutritionally available for my body, and my body thrives off this nutrition. If you're not eating a healthy, well-balanced diet, then you're going to automatically affect your mood. That's just a fact. Also, socializing. Stay involved with your friends. Get regular activities scheduled. If your friends are far away, we all learned how to use Zoom and how to do things. Use FaceTime on your phone. Whatever it is, make connections. I did do a lot of traveling with my husband when I was married on a sailboat, and I was making new friends everywhere, but I really missed the connection with the people who were important to me in my social circle that was back here in the United States. And I do a lot of traveling. So I try to make it a goal of mine to reach out to 5 to 7 people who are important in my life every week and send a message to them or do a phone call with them. Try and do a Zoom call and reach out to my networks. You have to stay involved and you have to make it important. Friendships take work and family takes work. And if you're feeling kind of down, having a phone call and getting that support from people who are really, really important to you can make all the difference in the world. It can help you get through January and February. I'm telling you, there's tons of online groups. If there's a specific thing that you're looking for, go out and research it. There's Facebook groups, there's meetup groups, there's socialization. I'm going to do a podcast about where to find friends because I've recently gotten a great new group of friends and we do stuff together. It's just a lot of fun. So don't hesitate to reach out to friends and do your regular activities. And if you don't have regular activities, sign up for some. I know that when I was in the really cold environment up there in Northern Ohio, I did a bowling league. I've joined a bowling league out here in California when I came out too with my brother. And I know that there are dart competitions. I mean, out there, there's just a lot of bars to go to because it's what's open when it's frozen outside. But join a dart league, join a bowling league, start up your own poker game, start a game night with your friends. And if you can't get together, Zoom a game night. There's a lot of games that you can play on the internet. Maybe one person can have, I don't know. It would be hard to play Uno over the internet, over Zoom, but I mean, there's stuff you could do. There's trivia games. But I know I'm going over and over, but socializing is incredibly important to my mental health, and that connection, that deep rooted shared affection for each other is critical to me. Another thing that I really want you to think about if you are going through seasonal affective disorder, what it will do is put a highlight and glowing red lights around anything that you are struggling with emotionally and physically. If you have physical problems, go to your doctor, get help with anything that you find that you're struggling with as pain. If you are really struggling with depression itself and you've noticed that it's gotten darker and deeper, go to therapy, find a mental health professional and get some CBT, which is cognitive behavioral therapy, really help sort out what are real reasons that you're depressed and what are maybe depression, chemical imbalances, things like that. But meanwhile, while you're trying to get that help, get light therapy, get exercise, eat better, socialize. Those things are really, really going to help. And then maybe talk to your doctor about healthcare, antidepressant help. I do feel like there is an over-prescription of medications. So when you get prescribed medications, stay on top of them. Look up what they are. I know that after my father passed, it was a really, really hard time. And I might do a podcast about that. I don't know yet. But at the time I came back, I was having suicidal ideation. I was in a mental place that I could not get out of. And I went to my doctor, and he specializes in anxiety treatment, but he didn't know exactly what to do for me. He wanted to give me a long-term solution, and he wanted to give me an immediate solution. And he put me on 3 medications. And I'm not going to go into those medications. I'm not a medical professional or a licensed therapist or psychologist. But I noticed that one of the medications gave me immediate relief from anxiety. And I needed that. I needed to just temper down the anxiety. But it was something that didn't stay long-term in my system. It was something I could take a little bit like a Tylenol. So it immediately affected me, and it helped tremendously. And then I went on another medication that had to build up over time, and another medication that was one was for more of a psychological effect, and one was for more of a chemical depression. And I noticed one of them made me feel really not well. And I stopped taking that immediately because I looked it up online, and it said you had to taper it off, very seriously taper it off if you were taking it long term. And I didn't like how it made me feel immediately. So I went back to the doctor, and we agreed I was going to stay on the 2 medications. One I could take as needed for anxiety, and one was a little bit of a buildup that I took for 3 months. And I would highly recommend anybody go to a doctor if you're feeling a deep-seated depression that you cannot shake and it's getting darker, because I went on this medication for 3 months, and it helped me climb out of that hole. And I talked to a therapist and I worked through the issues I brought back from my father's passing. And if you feel like you're too strong to take a medication, I feel like a really strong person and I've fought through a lot of things in my life, but I needed that medication. And some people take it for 2 years, 5 years, whatever it is, but I took it for 3 years. It was a stopgap. It saved me. And then I tapered off with the help of my doctor, and I didn't take it after those 3 months. And then I had, the other prescription that I took that I had in case something got too much for me. And I found that I needed it less and less. Probably by the end of 5 months, I wasn't taking it at all anymore. But you need to talk to a mental health professional or a healthcare provider to get on any kind of medications if you are beyond what I'm talking about, which is seasonal affective disorder. But I do know that if I have the feelings of I'm down or I'm in a gloomy state and I'm noticing a pattern behavior in my journals, I will often go and take St. John's wort. That is an over-the-counter herb. And it has changed my life and my relationship with depression. When I am seriously depressed, I'll go to my professional, my physician, or I'll go to a therapist. But I've noticed that my seasonal depression and my minor depressions can be treated by St. John's wort. I'm not prescribing that to anybody, but it is something to look at if you are just managing a light depression. Again, I am not a therapist. I am not a doctor. I'm not prescribing anything to anybody, but St. John's wort has helped me when I've hit a dark time, and it's helped some of my clients. So look into that potentially as something to try as well. It's been used for more than a century in Europe, and it's used around the country. And maybe talk to your doctor about that as well, because you might have medications you wouldn't want to take that with. So on that note, I really hope that this episode has helped you, because seasonal affective disorder is a real thing. And for people who are all the time happy, but just after the holidays, you get really depressed, get some light therapy, focus on your self-care, focus on exercise, absolutely focus on nutrition. You've got to get more vegetables in your diet. You've got to get more greens. None of us are eating enough. And get socialization ramped up. Maybe schedule a dinner party once a week for the months of January and February, where you get 4 friends and you go to each other's houses and one person hosts it. I had belonged to a group of 12 couples, and once a month, one couple would host a dinner, and we would rotate around to all 12 couples, and they would have themes and we would have fun, and it was something to look forward to. And once a month we'd get together with 11 other couples, and that can easily be started in your area. If you don't have 11 other couples to get involved with, go join a group of, I don't know, I go to yacht clubs and I meet friends through sailboat racing, but get your life going, get involved, get engaged. Don't sit and be depressed. There's things you can do about it. And I'm really, really hoping that you just have a happier day. I hope this has given you some tools. These things have made a difference in my life. They make a huge difference in my clients' lives. And I just hope that you have a total day, and take care. Thank you for joining me on Throw Off the Lines. If you enjoyed this episode, don't forget to subscribe for future episodes and extras, and leave a review. Share it with someone who needs a total inspiration. You can also find us on Facebook or Instagram and our Throw Off the Lines website. If you want to be a guest or have questions for the host, sign up on the website and we'll get back to you. Until next time, throw off those lines and live your best life.